Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing? And are you ready for some Apex Online racing as we make our way to Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix, around 18 of the season as well. And the championship could potentially be determined in tonight's race, as Kaboom currently sits a whopping 89 points ahead of Dave Gaming. He just needs to make sure he does not lose 11 points, and he will pick up the championship tonight, as there are currently 78 points available after tonight's race. 3 races, 25 points for the win, and of course 1 point for picking up, for picking up the fastest lap as well. So that is everything on the cards. Everything is working on the stream as well, I believe. Fantastic. No weird issues tonight. So without further ado, let's get cracking then for qualifying. And the car's having nice little moment on the exit of the pit lane. So Padloff, the Padloff is going to be the first driver out. Now, he's very quick. We saw him take his first ever race in Apex Online Racing last time out, where he finished second behind Kaboom. So, very quick driver, and he gave Kaboom a good run for his money as well back at Suzuka. So, pardon me, I've got a case of the hiccup. So, watch out for what Padloff can pull out here, whether he can make it 2 podiums out of 2. And he's currently sitting only 2 points behind the likes of Philippe and Tiliad, and further 3 points back on the likes of Piekars and Bob. So Padloff can really climb up the table, and maybe even a top 10 is possible, with Shanky currently holding that 10th place spot on 70 points, 50 points up on Padloff. So he needs to pick up about 17 points in the remaining 4 races. And there seems to be a few Piekars fans out here, so why don't we sit on board with the driver's fan as he looks to begin his first hot lap of the night. Right, here we go, across the line to start his first lap. And let's sit on board as he gets ready to spot that braking point into turn 1. You can brake really late and carry a lot of speed before you're slowing right down for the chicane of 2 and 3. About 80 meters, drops it down into a 3rd gear, back on the power, down to 2nd temporarily. And now up into a 3rd, and stretch out those revs, open up the DRS onto the 2nd straight. He's got Bursty ahead to give him just a little bit of a slipstream. Bursty gets well out of the way, 100-meter balls down to 2nd gear, into the left, right. Nice and easy on the power, very easy to run wide and abuse track limits here at Mexico. Back on the power, out of the double right-hander, and now into the Mexican snake. He drops it down into 5th gear for the left-hander, holds it into the 5th for the right-left, up into 6th gear, and now into the long sweeping right-left to finish off the snake. And fairly cleanly done, not running wide anywhere. Now into the stadium section, nice and late onto the brakes, take all of that sausage curb and drop it down into 1st gear for the tightest corner on the track. But the car that keeps it in 2nd gear, and now into the penultimate corner, 2nd gear, and now feed the power on all the way through shortest line, and it's going to be a 15.2 3rd place for the Red Bull driver. And I think there's also talk about, Kaboom was mentioning that considering the championship is pretty much wrapped up, he wants to start at the back of the grid, have some fun. There's a yellow flag in sector 3, and that is Wessel, who's lost the back end. Okay, Wessel. I guess each to their own, as Enigma's making his way through the stadium section to complete his lap. But I guess Wessel's the only driver who would have completed his lap going backwards. So there you go. Kaboom, you have a challenger. Good luck trying to beat that lap. Alexis Marcy, he's on a lap. Now, Flexes Marcy and Scrippy are drivers to watch out for. Scrippy very, very quick. 4 seconds in a row, and arguably could have picked up a 5th at Japan if he did not DNF. 3rd place was definitely there for the takings, and he wouldn't have even really been contested too much. So, very quick driver is Scrippy, and Flexes Marcy, one of those kind of hit and misses. He won back in Russia, then 8th place in Japan. So the question is this going to be a circuit that Flexes Marcy can really perform to his utter best? Flexes Marcy into the left-hander of turn 4, runs wide on exit, and that's really going to compromise him through the right-hander of 5. Double right-hander of turn 6. Now, let's just see how he takes this compared to Pierre Cars. He drops it all the way down into a 4th gear, so gets a bit more power. And now into the final bit, runs wide on the entry, and that'll cost him a couple of tenths. Now into the tightest corner, Flexes Marcy will drop it down into 1st gear temporarily. Now up through the gears. Flexes Marcy will come across the line. Not going to take the shortest line. It's a 1:17.6. He's on the hard tyres, so maybe that was almost a bit of a warm-up lap. But for lap number 2, he should be able to improve fairly significantly on that burst. He's done a 16.7, and that's ultimately going to be his target, as Marcy losing the back end. That differential off throttle just a little bit too low. Now, Wessel is 3/10 up, heading into sector 1, but he loses the back end. Somehow he holds it. That was a fantastic save there by Wessel, and he's a 10th down now as he makes his way into sector 3. So that is a bit of a shame for him. So you have to feel that he's got at least another half a second in those first 2 sectors. The question is, will he dive into the pits, or will he complete this lap? Power on and into the pits, Wessel will go. Enigma is on a hot lap. What about Kaboom? He's right behind his teammate of Borb, who is also on an outlap. Bit of a desync going on there. Let's on board with Enigma, who's making his way onto the 2nd straight out of turn 3. Into the left, right, and now into the double right-hander of turn 6. Be able to see what the time is, but of course we can't really compare that with anyone else's time due to the limited information that we have available to us. But into the right, left, and Enigma gets a much better line. And as you can see, through that final left-hand, you can cut it just a slight bit and get away with it, even on the strict rules. As into the stadium section we go, and now into the tight left hairpin. Down into 1st gear, short shift up into 2nd. Doesn't go up into 3rd. Sorry, doesn't go up into 4th, and now back onto the power through the right-hander to complete his lap. Fairly quick, and it's a 1:14.8, 500ths off a board. But the man we want to ride on board with, Kaboom, making his way out of turn 6. And now, this is the man who we want to see how he takes the Mexican snake. 6th gear, and now into the right, left. And that is how you make the exit. He made it a little left, so he could have taken that ever so slightly better. Very hard to get it perfectly right. As into the stadium section, we go use up all of the track as possible on the exit of that right-hander. Short shifting up through the gears, up into 4th, back down into 3rd. He misses the apex. That will cost him a few tenths, but he'll come around the final corner and across the line. Is a 1:15.7, but that's just his warm-up lap. Here we go. He still has 100% ERS, so maybe he's actually just trying to keep those tires nice and clean, because 1:15.7 without pushing that much, that is an insanely fast time. I mean, if he had used 50% of ERS, he would be at least a second quicker, and we don't even know how much fuel he is using either. 1/10 up in sector 1, and as you can see, he's keeping that in 0 ERS mix. He knocked it up into mode 2 on the start-finish straight, but Kaboom flexing just a little bit here. And Dave Gaming is out on a hot lap. That is his championship arrival. Dave Gaming needs to find a massive, massive result here if he wants any hope of keeping the championship alive heading into round 19 at the Circuit of the Americas. Boom, makes his way into the stadium section. He keeps it down in second, so seeing a few different styles through that low speed left-hander. But here we go, Kaboom. Will come across the line. It's a 1:15.4, so he's improved, but it does appear that that lap time was invalidated, and maybe he's going again now. He has turned the ERS up slightly, as I do not know why I have the hiccups. This is very, very timely indeed. But yeah, he's really pushing this lap, and we're going to see the difference in Sector 1 for sure. And here we go, 5/10 up, and that's just from using ERS and pushing ever so slightly more than he was previously. So Kaboom definitely just trying to have fun in this 18th round of the season. There is also a slim chance that Williams could win. No, they can't actually. Renault cannot win the Constructors' Championship this race, even if they got maximum points. They can, however, win it next race. And I think that's no matter what happens this race, they can win it next race. But Kaboom's going to dive into the pit, so just a flexing to show us how quick he could be, and then saying, nah, I'm going to dive into the pits, boys. Now, who is on a hot lap? Dave Gaming's diving into his pit, so clearly he wasn't able to set a quicker lap in or had his lap time invalidated. Now, Wessel, is he actually going to go for a faster lap this time round? Sector 1, he's 4/10 up, so obviously we don't have a representative time of what he could do. We just have that sector information. But he definitely had a lot of time he could gain in this middle sector, so let's see if Wessel can improve on that as he loses the back end, and this time he can't stop the car from spinning right around. And that's going to be Wessel's lap over. He'll have enough time to get into the pits and start a new lap. As we ride on board with Scrippy, who's put on a set of the medium compound tyres. He's a couple of tenths up at the minute, so he's looking to challenge for that 6th place spot. Big gap from Bercy up to Kaboom in 5th place. Yellow flag here as that's Wessel getting well out of the way. Scrippy 8/10 up at the moment, so this is going to be a quick lap. If he can find another half a second in this final sector, he could maybe hit Bercy, but that is quite a tall order, especially on these medium tyres. Scrippy makes his way through the final corner, back on the power, shortest line, and across the line for a 1:15.6, and that is a very fast indeed, and it will be enough for 5th places. He is the first of all of those medium tyre runners, but Borb has actually just put himself first. He's jumped ahead of Padloff, so that's a good lap from him. What about Enigma? Can he go any higher up? He gains a 10th, but not enough for 2nd place. As Yakaz, he is also a 10th up, but he needs to find almost half a second if he wants to jump ahead of Enigma in the championship. Because 2/10 up, he needs to find another 2 to get even close to Enigma. We'll ride on board with him for the rest of this lap and then head on over to Kaboom. He's about to set a new hot lap on a fresh set of medium tyres as Pierre Carter runs really wide. Oh, and he's into the wall. That is going to be a big yellow flag. And if that was real racing, this would be a safety car as well, as he has properly, I believe it was it Valtteri Bottas who did that, or was that later on? Did that at the Mexican Grand Prix? I don't know. But Kaboom, he goes 2/10 up. Actually, wait, no, that was his previous time. And now he starts his hot lap. This time you can see he is using up his ERS as he makes his way into turn 1 nice and late onto the brakes. Quite under rotation on that front right. Takes as much curb as possible through turn 2. Back onto the power. Let's see if he's actually on a quicker lap than what he did on the soft tyres when let's face it, he wasn't trying. 4 tenths up, quickly down the gears as well from Kaboom. He makes his way into the tighter part of Sector 2. Down in second gear, short shift up to third through turn 6. And now this is the part that can make or break your lap. Kaboom runs wide into the left-hander. Pull it over to the left for the final right. Left loses the back end just temporarily, but it's all clean. Now, if he can find about a second, that would be insane. But he actually loses about half a second compared to those soft tires. So, makes sense as you don't really gain too much out of ERS in that sector, but you can in this final sector. 2 and a bit minutes remaining on the clock, and Kaboom will come across the line. What's it going to be? It's a 15.6, and it is a new personal best for him, so he will be able to start the race on this set of medium tires. 600ths up on Scrippy. He's still in the pits, and he needs to make his way out in the next 40 seconds or so, or he will not be able to make it to the finish line in time. Alexis Marcy, he's almost a 10th up as he has a bit of a moment with that back end burst. He retires from the session, so clearly he doesn't feel he can improve on his time anymore. Alexis Marcy into the Mexican Snake, as Mr. Byron Villa likes to term it. Into the right, left, in as you like. That back end kind of going all over the place, and just adding some front wing is very nice. 1 second up is Flex's Marcy, so he's on for a 16.5 at the minute. As I think that was Piekaz who, no, Dave Gaming going fourth, but Flex's Marcy not clean at all through the final corner, and I don't know if that's going to compromise him at all. The 1:16.0, and he definitely had more time as well. The question is, he should be able to get back around to start a new hot lap, and that may be what he's doing. I don't know if he's going to retire from the session, but a 16.0 is definitely there. And yeah, Flex Marcy cutting through the grass, wants to get back at the start of the lap as quickly as possible. Also, Mulchin's here, which I haven't seen. I was commentating on Mulchin actually last night. He was racing in the Interleague Cup, where a few different leagues took part. It was a pretty fun event, but so let's see if Mulchin can drag any of that experience from that event into tonight's races. He raced against some big names like a Formula Danny Berejne, as he's more commonly known as well as other esports drivers like Michael Romanidis and some other very quick drivers. Okay, Kaboom is on another hot lap. He's 700ths down, this time into the Mexican Snake. He doesn't lose as much time, but he may have invalidated his time. Now, he lost 4 tenths through the sector last time compared to that time that he did on the softs. And this time he will gain almost 3 tenths of a second. He runs wide on the entry into the stadium section. He's on the cusp of jumping ahead of Piekaz, but it is very close. Into the final corner comes Kaboom. He's not happy with that time, so he's going to dive into the pits, and that is the end of that. But Bob is carrying the Renault team forward on the soft tires into the Mexican Snake. We go. Let's see what that Sector 2 Delta time is looking like. 900ths up. Not going to be enough for a 1:13, which Kaboom probably could have pulled off knowing him. But it should be enough to improve just a little bit and take him out of striking distance of Enigma. So here we go. Ball will come across the line. As quick as a 14.1, but the time will be invalidated. Enigma, I believe, is on a slower lap and will not be able to improve. He cuts through the final corner. They'll take the wide line. So 1:15.1. That's not going to be enough. Wessel will dive into the pits. Mulchin's gone 10th. Flexes Marcy across the line. It's a 15.7.1. So enough for 8th place. Just shy of Scrippy and Kaboom. So those three on the medium tires will be ones to watch out for in the race. What about MDCO? He's a 4 tenths up, but he's not even going to get into the 70s. No, it's a 14.6 actually. So I'm not sure if that time was invalidated or not. And actually, MDCO, he goes third, so a very quick lap from CEO. And They'll be starting towards the front on those soft tyres. But final confirmation then, Borber picks up a pole ahead of Padloff, MDCO third for Williams with Enigma in fourth and Dave Gaming in fifth. Their cars in sixth ahead of championship leader Kaboom with Scrippy and Marcy eighth and ninth as Wessel rounds out the top 10. Versi, Mulchin and Philippe start outside of the top 10 but do have free tyre choice. Don't forget, in the Constructors' Championship, big battle between Ferrari and Alfa Romeo for third place. Ferrari on 218 points currently, with Alfa on 204. And I guess a bit of a battle going on for first place in the Constructors. Renault on 313 with Williams on 282. But that's with Bob DNFing in pretty much all the races. It seems that now he is kind of back up to form, finally getting a podium result, which he should have had so many times this season if it wasn't for unfortunate and silly DNFs at previous rounds. Right, as we await for everyone to get going, and we should be starting the Mexican Grand Prix in just a few moments' time. Don't forget to let us know in the chat who you guys are supporting and you guys think will pick up the win tonight. Look at those very jubilant fans in the background. But 4 seconds before we get underway, don't forget Padloff going to be a big challenger. Padloff, Scrippy, and Kaboom we saw in a three-way battle for the win last time out at Japan. Scrippy sadly DNF'd, otherwise he would have remained in that battle for the majority of the race. But it is the other Renault driver of Bob who will be starting in pole position, with Padloff second alongside him. And the big question is kind of going to be Padloff versus Kaboom and Scripian. Alexis Marcy as well, who showed that he did have pace on that medium compound of tyres. So if we're lucky, we could have a four, maybe a five-way battle for the win, as Padloff definitely does have a pace here at Mexico, or has a pace in general. So we'll have to see whether he can reciprocate that pace that he had last time out at Japan, where he picked up second place on his debut race in the Apex Online Racing League. So confirmation then of the tyres everyone is starting on. Softs for the top 6 and mediums for the rest of the top 10. Wessel Bercy opting for those softs, as Mulchin and Philippe will be going for the hards. Don't forget, here at Mexico, the medium hards is the tire strategy to go. If you start on those soft tires, you're pretty much forced to go for a two-stop strategy. So that could really be throwing some of these top 6 out of contention. Mulchin and Philippe, I feel, making the sensible decision going for those hard tire compounds. It also does mean that from 7th down to 9th will be bad starts. So maybe we could see Wessel and Bercy getting right in the mix heading into turn 1. Go, drivers lining up on the grid. Renault Force India on the front row. You can see Kaboom just a little bit behind as the two Williams line up in 3rd and 5th. They need a good result to keep the constructor standing alive, as the 5 red lights go out, and it's a very good start from Padloff, who's going to have a go right off the bat, and he's already alongside and ahead of Bob on the run down into turn 1. There's a few drivers side by side. Padloff into turn 1 will be able to hold on to the lead, but Bob will try to hang it around the outside, still side by side with the two of them. But Padloff with the inside 4-3 picks up the position, and now Enigma potentially could have a go at Bob, heading down the straight into turn 4 and up ahead. There we go. We can see Enigma having a little look as Padloff runs a bit wide, and now Enigma has the inside into 5. MDCO just watching all of this unfold ahead, and will hold on to 4th place for now. Dave Gaming getting a very bad start. He's down into 7th place, and he can see his title rival right in front of him, as well as Theo has a bit of a moment in. He's really dropped off that battle for third place. Meanwhile, Bercy getting the worst of starts. He's down into 13th, having lost 2 places, as also the McLaren of Mulchin having a little look at Wessel. Dave Gaming trying to hold it around the outside. But Flexing Marcy gets the switcheroo down the inner side into the final corner, and that's Marcy up into 7th places. The Dave Gaming start gets even worse, but he's going to be right in the tail. Pulls out of the slipstream on the start-finish straight, but look at this. That is going to be the Scrippy, who's going to look to join in this fight. The Haas on the inside, and now Flexing Marcy might try to find the double overtake, but decides against it as Dave Gaming runs pretty wide. Scrippy can't quite find the ceiling shot out of turn 3, as that's Flexing Marcy getting very sideways on exit. And now Mulchin will be able to get alongside on the run down into turn 4. McLaren versus McLaren. Mulchin on the outside, but he will decide better of it on those hard tires, as that's Wessel on the soft tires looking to have a go at the McLaren driver, but won't be able to make anything work. Okay, I don't know what's happened to Bercy. I don't think he could connect or something. But Wessel right on the tail of Mulchin, and that's Wessel. That's a massive snap of oversteer on exit. Up ahead of Flexing Marcy, getting very closer to Scrippy, but not going to be able to make anything work as Scrippy runs wide into the left-hand hairpin. Padloff setting fast lap, and he's already pulling out a big gap to Borb. And you have to feel that this is going to be a race between Kaboom and Padloff. It's just a question of how quick can Padloff go on the soft tires in this first stint. I'll just pull the tire graphic back up. Flexing Marcy pretty much going sideways over the sausage curve. So Kaboom is leading the medium tire runners. Dave Gaming pretty much last of all of the drivers who started on old soft tires. Well, he is the last of all the drivers that started on old soft tires. Wessel and Bercy were on fresh soft tires. As Philippe actually finding a move up for 11th places. Toro Rosso drivers having a bit of a scrap. At least I do believe they're both Toro Rossos. Yes, they are. Sometimes I get confused by that, and I think it is a McLaren. But no McLaren is racing in tonight's Grand Prix, as Philippe is our first driver to pick up a time penalty. As Enigma actually is really closing in onto Borb, who's falling off from Padloff big time here. So Borb not able to keep those soft tires up tamed. And now Enigma is going to have a DRS down the start, finish straight. Borb, he go defensive. No, not quite, as the Enigma closes down. Not quite close enough to have a go into turn 1. But close enough to slot in behind him. Maybe if he can get a good run out of turn 3 onto the second DRS straight, he could have a go into 4. The Enigma is somewhat close, but again, just a little bit too far back at this moment in time. And look at that Borb with no ERS remaining. Enigma with almost a full tank. Enigma having a little bit of a moment on that back end on the exit of turn 6 as we make our way into the Mexican Snake and go running a little bit wide on the entry. Padloff continues to stretch out his lead at the top of the standings, now 2.4 seconds over the Renault of Borb. Speaking of Borb, runs very wide on the entry into the stadium section. I'm not quite sure where the kind of cutoff is to picking up a time penalty. We go Enigma on the back of Borb once again. DRS open, lap 5 of 36. But yet again, just too far back to be able to make anything substantial work. Now, Kaboom is closing in onto Piekars, and he is now within that 1 second zone as Piekars does pick up that 3 second time penalty. Boom does not quite get DRS though, but next lap he should be able to, as Piecar starting to fall off the back of this three-way battle for second place. Enigma really closing in onto the back of Borb here. Alexis Marcy picks up a time penalty as well. I expect many more penalties coming through. Enigma right on the tail of Borb as we make our way into the end of Sector 3. Enigma, this is where he has to maximize his exit. He looks to get a pretty good run. And now right on the power, and this is as close as he has ever been to Borb. Onto the start-finish straight as Borb kind of are lagging back and forth, or maybe Enigma lagging back and forth. As here we go into turn 1. Borb will not go defensive. You can hold it around the outside, back behind. You can see Kaboom having a look at Piecar as he gets very close between Enigma and Borb, as Enigma has the inside for 3. He forces Borb out wide, and now CEO will follow through as well. But Borb is right there, but he will get outpaced as he doesn't have it DRS, and CEO dives it down the inside, and Enigma doesn't quite leave enough room. And the two make contact, and now that's Enigma down into 4th place as Kaboom was able to make the move stick onto Piecar, and that's the championship leader up into 5th place. Now Borb is on the tail of CEO and might be able to have a shot at reclaiming that 2nd position. But he needs to absolutely ace this final sector. Maybe you could have a look into the right hand as we enter Sector 3, but sides against it. Always possible to go for a lunge into the left hairpin, but again, too far back as I think that was contact, and Enigma is now going to look down the inside. That's more contact as well, I think. Or maybe Borb got sideways by himself. I just saw a clip and I thought there was contact. Now Kaboom right on the tail, and look at this. Piecar is going to have the best of views as we're going to be going 3 side by side. Maybe make this 4 as Piecar has to back out. Borb making a bit of contact with Piecar. Enigma on the outside and Kaboom in the middle. There's more contact, and that's Kaboom who's going to be forced to cut the corner. More contact with Enigma as Piecar wants to get involved in the fun. Borb down into 6th place as CEO stretches out a gap in 2nd, but look at Padloff. 5.5 seconds in the lead. Let's take a look at Dave Gaming jumping into the fun. He's got Scrippy right alongside him. As well, look at this, the congestion of cars. As that's going to be Piecar down the inside of Enigma up into the podium spots. But Enigma not quite done yet. But he will be forced to slot in behind as Kaboom slots into 5th place. Borb holds has Dave Gaming, Flex Marcy, and Scrippy right behind. Kaboom, though, he gets a fantastic run out of the Mexican Snake, and he's getting squeezed out wide by Enigma. That's contact, and Kaboom will be sent spinning, and that's Enigma's tire gone. Piecar sadly gets caught up in that incident. You can see his front left end plate gone. I didn't see, I mean, it's hard to say just from seeing one camera angle, but I'm putting that down as entirely Enigma's fault for shutting the door on Kaboom. Kaboom then having to try to catch the car, and as a result, when he goes on the brakes, his back end just locks up because he's not going in a straight line, and I think he was just a passenger, and that is all on Enigma, sadly. But Kaboom still has his front wing intact, which is quite miraculous. Now, the good thing for Piecar is the fact that because he was on the soft tires, he could actually pit on this lap and still make the 2-stop strategy work, going mediums, or maybe medium soft. So his race is not over yet. Kaboom, though, down the inner side will move up a position. And that's Kaboom back up into 6th place. Dave Gaming has also pitted, but Piecar's now, he's lost about 15 seconds from that incident, maybe a little bit less. So about 10 to 15 seconds Piecar has lost due to that. I'm not sure if Dave Gaming got caught up as well, but that is really sad to see, as Piecar was looking to get his best result of the season so far. But Scrippy is very close to the back of Borb and Flex's Marcy. Kaboom a further 4 seconds behind. And now Flex's Marcy is going to have to be the one who will take the challenge to Padloff. on those softer tires. As here we go, DRS opens as we make our way onto lap 9 of 36. Borba trying to stick in that DRS range of Flex's Marcy, but not quite going to be able to get close enough to have it go into turn 1. Cars will get a bit close, and actually Bob runs a bit wide, and this might allow Scrippy to get a really good run coming out of 3, and Bob loses the back end momentarily. Now Scrippy really close. Bob will look defensive as here comes Scrippy having a look for turn 4, but he's too far back and he will just have to settle for the position. But yes, Bob goes wide and he'll get the slingshot out of 5, and now he's going to have a look into 6. He's a little bit too far back, but there's got to be contact between the two of them. Bob holds on to 3rd place for now. Harloff, though, with a whopping 11-second gap to Flex's Marcy. So, doing a really good job at the minute, as the battling between Scrippy and Borb has meant that Flex's Marcy is now over a second away. So, Scrippy should be able to make a move onto Borb this time round, as Borb loses the back end into the left-hand hairpin. He's going to cut across the track, and yeah, he'll be a good boy and let Scrippy through, although he will pick up a 3-second time penalty regardless. And then Bob picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. So quite a few drivers struggling with that back end, just under braking, stepping out just a tad. The question is, where will Bob come out? Will he come out ahead of Dave Gaming, who's making his way onto the start-finish straight now? And Dave Gaming should come out ahead. And what about Pierre Cars? No, Pierre Cars is just too far behind, as your championship leader, Kaboom, picks up a 3-second time penalty. Just write down all of those penalties. NDCO on the fresh set of medium tires, closing in onto Wessel, but up ahead Scrippy catching in onto the McLaren of Flex's Marcy in this battle for 2nd place. Kaboom also closing in, he's 3.2 seconds down, so these three might still be having a 3-way battle yet. Scrippy should get DRS this time round, and yes, he will, and we'll just let him close in as Padloff is going to dive into the pits. Now, the question is, where does he come out relative to these guys? He's put on the hard, so that should be enough to take him to the end of the race. He's going to come out behind Mulchan, maybe behind CEO as well, but no, not that far back. And he's only 4 and a bit seconds off. Actually, it's about 6 seconds off Kaboom, so is still right in the contention for the win on the soft to hard strategy here. The Scrippy closing in onto Flex's Marcy, just 4 tenths behind now. We ride on board with the Haas driver, make our way into the Mexican S's, and Scrippy does cut that corner, so we'll be picking up a penalty in the process. Now, Padloff does not have a penalty. Flex's Marcy does, Kaboom does, Scrippy does, and so does Borb. So, yeah, at the moment, Padloff is looking pretty strong to be picking up the win here, if not on track, at least with time penalties. However, Scrippy on the back of Flex's Marcy for what is the provisional lead of the race. Here we go, heading into turn 1. Flex's Marcy will go defensive. Scrippy sweeps around the outside into the braking zone of turn 1. But Flex's Marcy could potentially have a go if he can get a good run. But no, he cannot quite get the drive out of turn 3. And he doesn't get DRS either. It's a double DRS detection point here at Mexico. I think it's the same as at Australia, if I'm not mistaken. Makes it very easy to overtake, but makes it that little bit trickier to battle or find the move back, which is always good if you're the driver who's charging up through the field. Gives you just that little bit more time to stretch out a gap. Flex's Marcy picks up his second 3-second time penalty of the race. Padloff, though, is closing in onto Mulchian right now. Flex's Marcy falling back from Scrippy, and we'll just keep an eye on that gap to see whether Marcy can stay within that 1 second zone, or if he does continue to fall back. But Padloff will be looking to pick up 5th this time around as we start lap 13 of 36. Because having a couple of issues disconnecting and then rejoining us. Here we go, heading into turn 1. Padloff down the inside. Mulchian will not defend too hard. As Kaboom picks up another time penalty, trying his best to hunt down Flex's, Marcy, and Scrippy in that battle for the lead of the race. Adloff actually is going to run wide into the left-hander, but I don't think he minds too much. Okay, so Padloff is 5 seconds down on Kaboom and about 9 seconds down on Scrippy. I think a pit stop here is about 23 seconds or so, as you're heading in or heading out of the pits at fairly high speed, or when the others would be at fairly high speed, so a bit of time as MDCO picks up a time penalty as well. So I do think this is going to be a pretty close race between Padloff and Scrippy and Marcy, who will be charging up through the field on fresh, harder tyres, depending on how long they can make this last. Maybe they could, they might go for a 2-stop strategy, you never know, but likelihood is they'll go for hards. And the question is, how much fresher will they be than Padloff's, who is on fresh hards right now. As up ahead, Padloff sweeps down the inside, picks up the position, nice and straightforward, and that's going to be Padloff up into 4th place. Mulchian picks up a 3-second time penalty. And Flex Marcy has not fallen off from Scrippy, so these two staying together. But the fact is they need to work together, stop battling to prevent Padloff from being able to close in. Actually, I do want to compare lap times from the likes of Kaboom. He might have some amber wing damages. There must have been something that happened, because I'm fairly certain that he tapped the wall, but I cannot be 100% sure. So anyway, this time across the line, we'll take a look at lap time, see how much Padloff is able to close in by. Don't forget though, Padloff did get DRS on the start-finish rate that would have helped him out fairly big. Scrippy will come across the line. It's a 1:18.9. Marcy into the pits. Kaboom will come into the pits as well. What is Padloff going to be able to do? It's going to be a 1:18.2, but he did have DRS, which would be almost half a second over the 2 straight. So the pace is fairly even, slightly better for Padloff, as here comes CEO on Mulchian. Fresh medium tyres, and CEO will pick up the position, but Mulchian, sorry, not Mulchian, CEO for sure does have another pit stop to make, as it does Mulchian. Going to be interesting to see which drivers go for the 1-stop, which drivers go for the 2 stops. There's Kaboom, he's put on a set of soft tyres. Flex's Marcy has gone for the hard, so Marcy looking to make it to the end most likely here, whereas Kaboom going to be going for that 2-stop strategy. Now the question is Scrippy. Because Marcy has got the undercut, he might come out just ahead of the Haas driver. So let's see if Scrippy will follow suit and come into the pits this time around. And indeed he will, as that was a penalty, and I can't quite remember for who. I think it was for Bob, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe you can let me know in the chat who that was, as Padloff will reclaim the lead of the race. However, he's only on 5 lap older tyres than Scrippy and Flex's Marcy. But here we go. Marcy coming around the final corner. He's going to pick up DRS as well from Borb, as Scrippy's making his way out of the pits. And here comes Marcy with the DRS. He's going to reclaim the lead over Scrippy in this battle for what will become a 2nd place. Now, Flex's Marcy and Scrippy, they're a fairly sizable, I think that's about 10 seconds off Padloff here. So they're going to lose out a lot of time And I think Padlock pretty much has this race done and dusted, as those hard tires should be able to do 25 laps. Philippe picks up another time penalty. Reflex is trying to catch up onto Borb, who will be going mediums and then softs most likely to the end, or mediums. But I feel that he should be able to make the softs work, and medium tires aren't too old, so he should be able to battle with Marcy and Squippy here, who for the first couple of laps might be able to use, you know, the freshness of the harder compound tires to their advantage, but after that it should be a somewhat even battle as Kaboom sets the faster lap of the race, which is exactly what we expected him to do on these fresh soft tires. But he does have another pit stop to make, so he has to gain a very sizable amount of time, as that's Scrippy who's going to dive down the inside into turn one, and he'll pick up the position, and this is exactly what Kaboom wants to see as he closes up to what is the effective battle for second place. Don't forget, guys, for those of you tuning in, this is Apex Online Racing Split 5 PC League. Make our way on to round 18 here at Mexico. As things stand, it's very close actually as to whether Dave Gaming will win the championship, but Kaboom, as things stand, will win the championship, as Dave Gaming needs to find a total of 11 points over Kaboom, which he is currently not going to do. Don't forget to let us know who you know, your driver of the day is, and who you are here to support, or if you are impartial, just drivers that you like, or who you think is going to win. Currently my money is on Padloff. Seems to be very, very quick. And then second, I'm going to go with Scrippy, then Marcy and Kaboom. I don't think this two-stop strategy from Kaboom is quite going to work out for him, but I guess we'll have to see around about the lap 25 point how everything does develop. As up ahead, Scrippy and Borba battling for 6th place. Scrippy looks for the inside, but not going to be able to make anything work. We'll get the slingshot out of turn 3. DRS enabled, and we saw these guys battling earlier and it ended in disaster, but that was when Enigma was part of this. Down the inside goes Marcy, 3 abreast through turn 4. Are you kidding me? And Kaboom with the soft tires should be able to make that one work, as Marcy will be picking up a 3-second time penalty. Kaboom is up into 8th place. Scrippy will hold on to 7th behind Borb, as Kaboom doesn't get the best of runs, and now Marcy right on Kaboom's tail, but he has to back out of it through the Mexican snake, as Kaboom does run wide on exit, but he can now see Scrippy up ahead. Then there's Borb, and you can see Dave Gaming making his way into the hairpin just now. Kaboom should get a really good drive compared to Scrippy on these soft tires. Don't forget, he's going to have to get ahead of these guys and pull a lead before pitting onto a fresh set of softs and trying to catch a backup end of the race. Kaboom, though, side by side with Scrippy into turn 1. Scrippy's not going to put up much of a defense. They know they're on different strategies, as Flex's Marcy forces his way in, and now side by side through 3. Flex's Marcy gets a little bit sideways, and that's going to cost him bigger time. And it's going to mean that Borba can pull away just slightly now. Borba and Kaboom are teammates, so you'll have to think Borba is not going to put up too much of a fight. So Kaboom should be able to get through and begin his hunt onto Dave Gaming. Then he's got the drivers on the hard tires of Mulchin and Philippe, who he should theoretically be able to catch up to, as they are on old hard tires. And then I mean, after the pits, it will be kind of close, but he needs to make sure he's ahead of them for when he does make his stop, as those hard tires runners could go onto the softs at the end of the race. Kaboom around the outside of Borba into the stadium section, and that's a Renault driver up into 6th place. But with Borba behind, he might be able to find a way through into turn 1. Let's just see. He will, of course, have the DRS available to him, and that should keep Borba alive as Scrippy looks to hunt him down. Flex's Marcy, though, driving aggressive as ever, and it has cost him from time to time, and is all just helping out Padloff up at the front as Malchian does pick up his second time penalty of the race. Now, MDCO is closing in onto Padloff. He is on the medium tyres relative to Padloff's hards. And those mediums won't make it to the end of the race, and he will have to stop for soft tyres. He won't be able to close into Padloff, almost certainly not. So, MDCO, though, he could potentially be in contention for second places down behind. I thought we saw a change for position, but apparently not. So yeah, MDCO has a stop to make. So does Kaboom. So depending how much quicker Kaboom is than CO, maybe he could charge him down. But it seems almost certain that Padloff is going to win this race. And then the question is, who gets second? Is it going to be, you know, Scrippy and Marcy here? Is it going to be CEO? Or can Kaboom make this rather wacky two-stop strategy work out for him? Now, Kaboom is already within a second of Dave Gaming. He's going to be too far behind to have a go into turn 1, but if he can get the drive out of 3, he should be able to have a go into turn 5. And Scrippy is very close to Bob, not going to be able to do anything this time round. And up ahead, you can see Kaboom getting closer to Dave. This is not only the battle for 5th place, but effectively the battle for the championship as well. Kaboom currently sitting first on 288 points. Dave Gaming in second on 199, as Bob will be able to defend 7th for now from Scrippy. Also, if Kaboom's worst result this season in any race that he has successfully finished has been 7th place, and that was at Monaco, and I think he did have some issues there. Aside from that, it was a 4th place at China, so you know, currently he might be on for his worst result of the season, considering that he does have to stop again. Now, Marcy is just about within that DRS range of Scrippy, but I think Scrippy will be able to make the move work this time onto Forbes. There's a bit of contact. Hopefully, there is no front wing damage. Is up ahead. Kaboom on the tail of Dave Gaming, who will dive into the pits, as will Malchian, and that's going to be Kaboom up into what is 4th position. And Scrippy is actually a bit too far behind, so that contact that he had with Bob has really cost him, and it means that he's going to be stuck behind the Renault driver for a bit longer. As Bob's actually doing a fantastic job for his Renault teammate Kaboom. The longer he can keep Scrippy and Flex and Marcy behind, the better Kaboom's chances are of picking up a 3rd or a 2nd place. Now, also up ahead, CEO is closing in onto Padloff, and he's making these medium tires work really well, and at the moment, considering that he's still catching up to Padloff, you'd have to think that he has a few more laps of life left in these. So he should be able to get ahead of Padloff and stick on a fresh set of soft tyres. As he'll probably want to pit about lap 27, do about 9 laps on soft tyres to the end. Speaking of those soft tyres, Kaboom probably wants to do another 3 more laps. And then do sets of 10 laps on these soft tyres. It should be able to work out for him as Philippe into the pits this time around, surely. Yes, and indeed, well, as CEO comes into the pits. So he's closing in onto Padloff, decides that he doesn't really want to battle, and he's actually going to stick on a set of medium tires here. So interesting decision, I feel, there from CEO. You know, he was closing in onto Padloff, and I thought maybe he could have just saved a bit of ERS, saved a bit of fuel, and then gone for the soft tires a couple of laps later, as this is Kaboom. I thought I saw someone side by side. Yeah, Scrippy and Bob, they're still battling for 3rd place. Bob doing a fantastic job in the Renault, but Scrippy's getting really close, and we'll have a look to the outside, and look at that. That's the McLaren of Marcy in the background. There's contact between the two, as Scrippy's going to get forced out wide, but he's going to try to hold it down the inside into 5. More contact, and that's going to be Bob sent around. He makes contact with Marcy, but it doesn't affect Marcy, and Scrippy will take a 4th place, but frustration really setting in there for Scrippy, and Bob did force Scrippy out wide into turn 4, and I feel that was a bit of revenge from Scrippy, but he loses a lot of time to Marcy as a result. Now, Padloff is first with Kaboom 11 seconds down, and Padloff could pit for soft tires and still win this race, I do feel. So Padloff has this race in the bag unless he makes some substantial mistake. Also, look at CEO. He's made his pit stop and he's come out right behind Borb and Scrippy. So, oh, as that is a bore, but he spun into the wall. So he's going to have to dive into the pits for a set of mediums or soft tires. And he's done 13 laps on those tires and he picks up a 5-second time penalty. Already had one for speeding into the pit lane previously. And that is going to be quite costly for him. Now, Dave Gaming is onto fresh medium tires. They will make it to end. And Pierre Cars is now back up into the top 10, which is great to see after he was in the battle for second place and, you know, got the bad end of a stick on, I think it was lap 3 or something, and was forced to pit with front wing damage. Now, Flex's Marcy 5 seconds down on Kaboom. And so Scrippy, when he pitted, he was right behind Padloff and he's come out 4 seconds behind Marcy. So we're talking about a 20-second pit timer. So Kaboom, when he pits, he'll come out about 10 seconds behind Marcy and he'll have about 10 laps to catch that up, which fresh soft tires versus old hards, he should be able to catch up that 1 second a lap. And he's currently still pulling away from Marcy. So Kaboom definitely in the contention of being able to pick up third place. I doubt he'll be able to pit CEO, who's on fresh medium tires, and you know Kaboom's going to be coming out about 10 seconds behind CEO, so he's going to be coming out where Philippe is, and yeah, so he needs to make sure that he can get in time so that he doesn't come up behind Philippe as Borb picks up another 3-second time penalty. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2 as well. And that's a Borb. He's lost his front wing again, so really struggling. And where has he done that, actually? And that was an intentional crash into the wall from Borb, and that is him out of the race. I don't think Borb's going to be happy with the fact that we caught him intentionally firing from the race, but there you go. Which will promote Wessel up into the top 10. He didn't take part in the last race, so, you know, an extra point for him, which could be big in this battle for 10th, 11th place. About 25, he is 25 points behind Shanky, who has not participated since he won back at Hungary. So if he can take some big points, maybe he could close that in. But up ahead, Grippy closing in onto Marcy, and MDCO not too far behind on those fresh medium tires. So this is what is a battle for second place right now. Fresh mediums versus old hards. Kaboom is into the pits, but where will he come out relative to Philippe? He's going to come out behind, surely. But will he come out behind Mulchin? Yes, he will, and he will come out just behind David Gaming as well, as Flex's Marcy picks up a 3-second time penalty. So Kaboom has to make his way through Dave Gaming and Mulchin, who are on slightly older medium tires, and Philippe as well. And then he has to catch up almost 10 seconds to get onto the back of this battle for second place. Now, depending how much time these three lose, Kaboom is still in the hunt for second place. Again, we're not counting time penalties in this analysis. Kaboom has 2 time penalties. Flex Marcy has 4. Scrippy has 1. And CEO has 1. So as things stand, CEO and Scrippy will be on the podium. Some order as Philippe gets another time penalty. And MDCO really pushing, really running wide on the exit into the stadium section. But let's just take a look at how this battle does unfold, and then we'll head over to Kaboom, who's very close on to Dave Gaming already on that super fresh, soft rubber. But all about this battle up at the front. Scrippy on the tail of Flex's Marcy. They're 18 downs on Padloff, who is having an absolutely fantastic race. And Scrippy will go around the outside, and he will be able to pick up the position. That's MDCO, who's also joining the back. But it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to find a way through, as pardon me, as Flex's Marcy does have DRS himself or Slipstream. And actually, CEO's going to have a look. Dives it into turn 4. And that's front wing flying as Flex's Marcy just turns across regardless. Now, Marcy has lost that end play, but he's going to try to battle anyway. There's contact, and he almost sends CEO around. Very aggressive driving from the McLaren man. But CEO is up into third, and crucially, I think he still has his front wing intact. CEO, though, does pick up a time penalty, so he's now level with Scrippy in terms of those penalties. But the good news for the likes of Kaboom is that he's hunting down Marcy, does have damage to his front wing. Now, Kaboom, I'm not sure what's happened because he was right on the tail of David Gaming and he's fallen back. So something has most certainly happened, and he's letting Pierre Cars through. So does he have front wing damage? Yes, he does. So there was contact between him and Dave Gaming for sure, and he's losing so much time. So he might just dive into the pits for a new... yeah, he is. He might as well pick up the fastest lap point, which Flex and Marcy is into the pits as well. So, but Kaboom will no longer be able to hunt him down. So contact between Kaboom and Dave Gaming, and now Dave Gaming actually getting very aggressive on Mulchian, will be able to pick up the position. 5th place, so it's 15 points for 3rd, then 12, then 10. So, as it stands, there are 79 points in the championship between Kaboom and Dave Gaming. And Kaboom's retired from the session as well. So now it's definitely 10 because Kaboom will not be picking up any points. So if Dave Gaming can pick up the fastest lap, he will then win the champion. He won't win the championship. He will prevent Kaboom from winning the championship. But if he cannot finish higher than 5th or get the fastest lap of the race, Kaboom will still win the title, as Kaboom has left the race. If he had stayed, he would have picked up 9th or 10th place for certain. He left the session, so his AI is still going around, so he may rejoin at some point. I do not know. Might pop up into the chat and ask for an invite. But yeah, up ahead though, Scrippy and MDCO. MDCO picks up the position. Apologies for missing that. But yeah, we caught Marcy and CEO having an incident, and as a result, we missed Dave Gaming and Kaboom having an incident. Maybe we should have taken a look at that championship battle instead, but you never know. It's always a risk when deciding what battle to spectate on. But Padloff, though, he's been pretty much impeccable all race. I doubt he's going to pit. He's just going to take it to the end on these hard tyres with a CEO behind and a Scrippy in 4th place. However, the Mulchin is still within striking distance of Dave Gaming, and Pierre Cars is right there as well. Here we go. Scrippy sets a 119.5, but down behind, Pierre Cars are closing in as a 3-way battle for 5th place starting to unfold. Also, Flex Marcy going for those medium tires, so I just don't think he had any soft tires left available for him. That's kind of what happens when you have those 18-minute qualifying sessions right before the race. However, Mulchin too far back to be able to have a go onto Dave Gaming. But yeah, Cars is close. Maybe you can have a go next time round as Piercar's right on the back of this. Also, you can see Philippe up ahead. Not quite sure if they're catching in at the moment. Right, Piercar's on the tail of Mulchin, but the gap is looking a little bit big as we make our way onto lap 31 of 36. 6 laps remaining here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Alexis Marcy picks up another 3-second time penalty. I think that is his 5th at least. Mulchin, though, a little bit closer this time round, but again, I feel just not quite close enough as Dave Gaming is falling off from Philippe. Philippe falling back from MDCO as well. Cars and Martin will get very close together, but Dave Gaming seems to have it under control for now as Flex and Marcy picks up another time penalty. He's into the pits. Maybe it's another set of mediums on or softs. And I think those are soft tires that are awaiting him. I can't quite see. Yes, it is softs. As Piercar's got quite close to Mulchin and Kaboom, I think, still ghosting around. As Wessel just too far back to be able to capitalize on this. Philippe picks up a time penalty as well. Again, all of this is going to have a big implications because Dave the Gaming, I don't think, has picked up one penalty so far. So he's actually going to be picking up a fourth place here, which is going to be 12 points, which is enough to keep the championship alive. That is if Kaboom finishes outside the points. Now, Kaboom at the moment is going to be getting 3 points. Oh, wait, no, it's 4 points behind Kaboom. If Flex's Marcy gets past, which will probably happen considering that there's ghosting happening. But first of all, let's take a look at this battle as Piakazu goes side by side with Kaboom on the start-finish straight. And that's going to be Kaboom up into 6th place as Mulchin won't be able to do anything into turn 1. But Piakazu does outbrake himself. And now maybe Mulchin can get the slingshot out. He is very close. And he will have a DRS as well. But so does Piakazu. And Piakazu holds on to the position, but very late on the brakes once again as MDCO will pick up a time penalty. So if Scrippy can stay within 3 seconds, should pick up. Okay, and right as I say that, Scrippy picks up a time penalty. But Piakazu is now within striking distance of Dave Gaming, working his way up. Back to this championship battle though. If Flex's Marcy gets ahead of Kaboom, Kaboom picks up 2 points, which is enough to keep the championship, which will be enough to end the championship right here as Marcy picks up another time penalty. So Marcy will get ahead of Kaboom, but will DN, but because of time penalties, will fall behind. So I think as things stand, Kaboom wins the championship, unless you're not allowed to let the AI complete the race for you. Here we go. Piakazu is on the tail of Dave Gaming. Won't be close enough to find anything into turn 1 this time round, but it's all about setting yourself up for the next lap. Dave Gaming getting a little bit sideways. Piakazu, he's on to get his joint best result of the season, which was a 5th, I believe, back at Russia, actually. And his other best results were 2 7th places. So if he can get ahead of Dave Gaming, and then depending on penalties as well, well, actually, he's definitely going to come ahead of Philippe. So if Dave Gaming has the same number of penalties as Piakazu, who I believe has 1, Piakazu, if he can get ahead, will take 4th place, which would be his best result of the season. Piakazu is close as we make our way into the final corner to start lap 34 of 36. Here we go. Is Piakazu close enough this time to have a go? No, he's not, but he is a little bit closer than last time around. Perhaps he could set something up for lap 35, the penultimate lap of the race, and he's right on Dave Gaming's tail. And if he can get the run, which he looks to have a decent run, but has a momentary loss of the back end. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. I'm going to guess that's Flex's Marcy. As Piakazu really loses the back end. Let's just scroll through Kaboom. No, I have no idea who it is. But Piakazu is still on the tail of Dave Gaming. Mulchin is there as well. Yellow flag in Sector 3 once again. Yeah, and that's Flex's Marcy. He was 1 second down on Kaboom, and now he is at 10. As Marcy speeding in the pit lane once again. He's just picking up penalty after penalty, which does mean that Wessel will actually pick up 9th place here, despite Marcy being ahead, because Marcy has about 25 seconds of time penalties or something ridiculous. But Piakazu is as close as ever to Dave Gaming, and there's a bit of contact which will send Dave Gaming sideways, and that's going to give Piakazu a really good chance onto the start-finish straight. as we begin the penultimate lap of the Mexican Grand Prix. What can Pierre Cars do? He has a DRS. He will snap it open. There's Flex's Marcy coming out. Ghosting is enabled. Marcy will get out of the way regardless. And that is going to be Pierre Cars up into 5th place. Emulsion now is going to try to follow suit. And it will compromise David Gaming's line, which should allow Pierre Cars to pull away. And that is going to be the championship 100% going over to Kaboom here at round 18. MDCO picks up another 3-second time penalty, which is 3 seconds more than Scrippy. So if he picks up one more, Scrippy will take second. But the gap is almost 6 seconds now, so I do think it is unlikely. But Dave Gaming almost a second down on Pierre Cars here, which, if it stays that way, Mulchin might be able to have a go for 6th place as well. Wessel is in 9th, Marcy down in 10th, as Padlov has started the final lap of the race. But Mulchin is close to Dave Gaming, who has just fallen outside of that 1 second range, but I'm not sure if it was before or after the DRS detection, which he just went past, and Dave Gaming was in range as Marcy retires from the session. So that is pretty much the championship. I guaranteed to Kaboom. We'll pick up either 3 or 4 points. I don't fully remember if it goes 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3. I think it's 4, 2, 1. But nevertheless, been a good comeback drive from Pierre Cars, who did get taken out back on lap 3 through no fault of his own. He was sitting in 2nd place, and you know, he does deserve this result. A great comeback drive, not letting it get to his head, being able to just focus on the race. As Scrippy will pick up another 3-second time penalty. That's his 4th, I do believe. As Padlov will pick up the win. Flawless drive from him. And the CEO will be coming around. Gets a little bit sideways. He'll take a 2nd. Now Scrippy will be coming through. He should take a 3rd. As the fireworks go off, or whatever you call those, the flares go off. Scrippy will take 3rd. Philippe will come around to pick up a 4th place. But it's Pierre Cars who will jump ahead to take a 3rd. Dave Gaming will take 3rd in the end. So that's a massive 15 points, which does mean that Kaboom needed to get 15 points. It means that he needed to get 4 points to win the championship, because even if they would tie at the end of the championship, Kaboom would have more wins. So let's take a look at the standings, shall we, and work this out. Right, so Kaboom in 8th, that is 4 points. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15. Yep, so Kaboom wins the championship. A 78-point gap is separating Dave to Kaboom. Dave has a maximum of 78 points that he can get over Kaboom. But, and that's the big thing, it is the but, because Kaboom has already won a ridiculous amount of races, and Dave Gaming has only won 1, Kaboom picks up the championship. So Padlov wins ahead of CEO. Dave Gaming rounds out the podium. Pierre Cars in 4th ahead of Scrippy and Mulchin, as Philippe takes 7th ahead of Kaboom. Wessel rounding out the top 10 is that's all that we have time for tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, guys, stay fast, and we'll see you for round 19 at the Circuit of the Americas for, you guessed it, the American Grand Prix. See you next time, guys.